Hi, my name is Kari Rice, and I struggle with self-doubt and emptiness and trying to fill my life with worldly things. When I was growing up, I was probably around the age of 3. My parents got divorced, and I don't really ever remember a time that they got along. I always felt like it was my job to be the peacekeeper, even though I was a child. And I always felt like if one of them was on my side, then the other couldn't be. So that was always a struggle. And I was also brought up Catholic and always attended church, every Sunday, but never really had a relationship with Jesus, more of a religion, and felt like I didn't want to go to hell, so I would do what I had to do to keep from going there. Throughout my childhood into high school, I feel like I did what I was supposed to. I followed all the rules, kind of stayed under the radar. I didn't drink, I didn't have sex, and right around the age of 17, I met my husband, and we dated for a couple of years and then got married, moved to a different town where we really didn't know anybody, and he was the only one that was working. So in my spare time, I would shop or try to do whatever I could to feel the emptiness that I was feeling. And we didn't have a lot of money. We had credit cards, and we would use payday loans to pay off one or the other. A few years down the road, we decided to move back to Carlinville and went ahead and bought a house. About a month after that, decided that I needed a dog, so we got a dog. And probably 4 months later, we found out that we were expecting our first child. And I felt like everything was coming together, like we were going to be, the perfect little family. I had a pretty easy pregnancy. She ended up turning breech when I was 37 weeks, and I had a scheduled C-section. The hospital stay and the C-section went pretty smoothly, but I had planned on nursing her, and that really didn't go as planned. And I remember when we went to leave the hospital, just feeling like I wasn't ready to go. I didn't know how to take care of her. And kind of slipping into a depression, which worsened once we got home. And I just felt like I wanted to be by myself. I didn't want to be around her at all. And my husband, as well as my mom and other people that had been around me, realized that something wasn't right, and they recommended that I call my doctor, which I did, and they suggested that I go to the hospital. Once I got there, I had to tell my story over and over to various different people, and they recommended that I stay overnight in the hospital. What I didn't really realize was that I was going to be going to the psych floor, and so they took me up there, and I had to stay overnight up there and attend a group therapy session. The one night that I stayed there, I kind of just stayed in my room, kept to myself, and I remember just feeling like I wanted to die. And I was sleeping, and I had a very vivid dream where I was like kind of in a well or a deep hole, and I was crying out to God, please help me. I don't know what to do. And I saw a light, and I saw Jesus standing at the top, and he had his hand, stretched out to me, and he said, I've been here all along. All you had to do was reach out for me. At that point, I feel like that was when I was saved, but I don't really feel like my life transformed at that moment. I still felt like I had to use other things to fill the void. A couple years later, we had another baby, a boy, and that pregnancy was completely different. I didn't experience any depression at all. And when he was probably 14 months old, he had a very bad accident at the babysitter's where he fell and suffered a skull fracture and a bleed on his brain. And that was a very scary time, and I feel like I had just been kind of doing it my own way, and all of a sudden, I had to trust God in that situation. And I remember being so angry and saying, why you can't do this to my little boy, and thinking at the same time, like, God kind of telling me, well, I gave you my son. And ended up being that he was okay, but that kind of put it back into perspective. But I still don't feel like I really changed. But one Sunday we decided to come, and just so happened that Sunday Tim was preaching about being spiritually fed and being thirsty. And I felt like that message was meant for me. And as hard as it was going to be, I couldn't go back to the other church. I just knew that I couldn't turn my back on what I was feeling. So we joined the church, and we became really involved. Became involved with Awana, became involved with life groups, but I still felt like I was playing a game, or putting on my face in front of the church people, and through the week I was still living very much out of my flesh. This past September, I actually lost my job that I had for 9 years because of something that I did. And I feel like at that moment that was truly a wake-up call. That was truly what God used to transform my life. In the meantime, I had been working part-time with another company. I'd contacted them and said, I'm free, any work you can give me. The very next week, someone from that company contacted me. And when I went to work, they said, do you know this person that's the recruiter? Do you know them personally? And I said, no, I don't. I've only talked to him on the phone. Why? And she said, to put your name at the top of the list of the people that we call. And I knew, then that was God. If I just listen to him and come out of the darkness and let people see my flaws and that I'm not perfect and no one is. I think what I would tell other people is that, the guilt and the shame that you hold on to is really nothing but dirty rags, and he wants you to lay them down and to give them all to him.